so the 4 tanks of break-in are done on the truck as far as idle break-in. Now it's time to actually start driving the truck around. As I mentioned, the first tank is going to be like quarter to half throttle blips, just kind of in a figure 8, nice and smooth. And then the second tank will be half throttle to 3/4 throttle blips, same thing in like figure 8s. And then the third tank driving is going to be up to full throttle blips. And then after that, we can actually start tuning the engine to run Stoich. One thing I do want to mention on the idle break-in tanks is you will notice throughout the 4 tanks, it will progressively take longer for the engine to burn the fuel. And the reason that is because the piston is actually seating to the sleeve and becoming more efficient. So like the first tank took about 35-40 minutes to idle. The second tank, it took it about 45 minutes. The third tank, it was like 50 minutes, and then the 4th tank that I idled last night, it took about an hour for that fuel to idle through this engine. So that right there is a sure sign that the engine's getting closer to break-in. But now, as I said, it's time to start driving it around, so let's do it. It's important throughout the break-in process that you warm up the engine every time. It's definitely critical to good engine operation. So I'm gonna let this run for about 15 minutes. Since I'm out here, I can't use my heat gun. Let this run for about 15 minutes and then fire it up. As I mentioned before, sometimes during break-in, it's necessary to turn up the idle a little bit to help get the engine running. And then once it's running, you can turn it back down. So you'll notice that I'm only giving it just little blips of throttle, and I'm varying the throttle speed. That's really important. And also you want to make sure you do this with the body off. So not only does the engine get a lot of cooling, but you're probably going to need to make slight adjustments as this process goes on. So continue this process for the first tank, and then we'll go on to the second tank where we step it up to about half throttle. All right, so that was about 15 minutes, and I just finished running the first tank of driving break-in. I shut it off with just a tiny bit of fuel left in the tank. Again, you still don't want to run these dry. This engine's relying on the fuel for lubrication. I was checking the temp the whole way through the process, and I never saw anything higher than about 160 degrees. And I can definitely tell it's really, really rich. I mean, it was hard to even get it at quarter throttle, honestly. So on this next tank, I'm going to use my own judgment, and I am going to lean it out just a little bit. That way I can get to that half throttle point. And then same thing, I'm going to drive it around. You'll notice that I did put the piston at bottom dead center after I shut it down so it can cool down. You still want to continue the heat cycles, so I'm going to let this thing cool all the way back down. And then I'm going to fill up the tank, put the block heater back on it, warm it up, lean it out just a bit, and take it around for the second spin. And so this is going to be tank number 6 total. 4 tanks of idle. Heat cycles, that first tank that I just ran driving it around would be 5, and then this is tank 6. So I'm going to wait for this to warm up just a little bit, and then fire it up, and I'm going to lean it out just a tad. All right, that second tank of running, or 6 tank total, is all done. The engine's totally cooled back down, and now we're ready for the third tank of running, or the 6th, or excuse me, the third tank of running, or the 7th tank total. So I'm gonna fill it up and put the head heater on, and we'll get it going. Alright guys, so I finally got the engine broken in. I've actually got 9 tanks through it right now. And I finally got the 3-speed working right. It took quite a bit of trial and error. It wasn't set right from the factory at all, but now I've got it set exactly where I like it. First and second gear shift is kind of hard to hear unless you're like quarter throttle, you can hear it shift. And then full throttle, you can hear it shift into 3rd gear, and that's when it really starts flying. But I've got it set so the second gear shift is late enough that it'll pull wheelies all the time. If you have that second gear shift set too early, it kind of shifts into second way too early and doesn't want to pull wheelies like every single time. But right now it's ripping. See if you can hear the shift.